And so it begins. Football is here, and so is the FOX6 Sports Blitz. I'm Brandon Cruz alongside Lily Zhao. Tim Van Voren joining us live from Green Bay, where it all starts in just a matter of hours. That's right. Training camp is here. So here's tonight's starting lineup. The Bicycles return with the start of Packers training camp. An exciting weekend in Minneapolis for the Brewers to begin their playoff push. Bob Uecker makes us say what? And summer break officially arrives for the Bucs. Well, training camp gets going tomorrow morning. Tim Van Voren is live there right now as the players have already reported. And Tim, I mean, so much optimism going into this season. What do you think this team needs to be able to do? Obviously get the wins. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But to be playing in New Orleans on February 9th.
Simple things, Brandon. Stay healthy, continue to progress. Don't get caught up in the expectations. Last year, very low expectations for this team coming into the season. And at midseason, it was performing to that level. In fact, as late as Christmas, it was a team that there were major questions about. Losing to the Carolina Panthers late in the game before finally getting things turned around and then going into the playoffs. So the Packers do not have easy street here. The NFC North is going to be much more difficult this season, but they should build upon their optimism and their confidence. They've put together this young core. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. This is what they wanted to have. This is what they do have with Jordan Love leading them into the season.
And how big of a role does Matt LaFleur play in this, as he has so many young players, to not be listening to all of the hype and putting all those expectations on their shoulders, as opposed to just going through their process and being prepared for September 6th and so on?
I'm curious to see what you guys, or hear what you guys would say about Matt LaFleur as well, because think about it. He has had #1 seeds in the NFC. You talk about how does he do with high expectations? Well, in those cases, they did not get to the Super Bowl last year. Lower expectations. They were one of the surprise teams coming up through the year. So they've certainly developed under Matt LaFleur. What will the touch be with this team this year? Last year, that offensive game planning was tremendous. That's how Matt LaFleur made his bones in the NFL. That's what he's the best at. Now he needs to keep this team together. There were fissures last year. Jair Alexander, Devondre Campbell, certain things late in the season the Packers had to try to get their arms around. How will they stay unified this season? LaFleur's on the job.
And the team certainly was unified under Jordan Love in his first year as the starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And Tim, I know the talk is all about that contract extension. When is it going to happen? But most importantly, going into this training camp in his second year as their starter, what are you looking forward to most with Jordan Love and his progression?
Progression is the key word there, Lily. Can he continue to ascend? He had tremendous numbers last year. Not just, he played well for a first-year starter. His numbers stacked up with the best quarterbacks in league before the season was all said and done. The Packers think they have something special in Jordan Love. He's such an even-keel guy. He doesn't really show much variance in his behavior, his comportment, so they think they can really go somewhere with him. But you use the word progression. Will they be able to see that? As opposing teams now have defended against Jordan Love, they've had an entire offseason to scout and put together what they want to do against him. And keep in mind, in this division, Detroit and Chicago in particular, very strong defenses. You're going to play some very tough football games no matter what.
And you guys saw the stats there from Jordan Love last season. And Tim, you mentioned the quarterbacks in the NFC North. It's going to be a much different looking class of quarterbacks as well. But back to Jordan here. I know the contract, again, is we're kind of talking about leading up to this thing. And I know Brian Gutekunst said he wanted to get something done hopefully before training camp. We're on the eve of it now. Nothing yet. But like you've reported earlier today, that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
That's the way I've seen this all along. And you were with Jordan Love last week at his football camp in the Milwaukee area. We've heard Jordan Love a few times. He's not a guy who seems very upset or very worried or very concerned about what's coming forward. He's a focused guy. The football season is here. He's been here in camp with the quarterbacks having already reported. He's going to be on the field tomorrow morning. He's going to get a tremendous ovation. There's no question about it. I was just looking at some file video. Last year, he rode the bike down. There was a lot of wait and see on Jordan Love from Packer fans. That will be different tomorrow morning.
What else will be different tomorrow when you see everybody take the field? Any noticeable absences coming up? Anybody who is not going to be there that maybe fans are expecting to be there?
Well, Lily reported in the sportscast, Jaden Reed, for instance, starts on the one of those designated lists that does not have him out on the football field. And Reed was a big player last year for the Packers. So not any real surprises, Brandon, unless something pops up tomorrow morning. But you're expecting to see a football team that you can identify with. Last year, there were a lot of questions going into this season. Now, there are a lot of answers in terms of who these guys are. The question this time will be, can they continue to get better?
Well, one of the answers in the offseason was the acquisition of Xavier McKinney. What does he bring to this defense that has a new coordinator?
Here's my guess on this, or my prediction, if you will. Xavier McKinney's the key to the defense. Rashawn Gary obviously paid and is expected to do well from that edge rusher situation. Kenny Clark on the inside gets his extra money today. To me, it's all McKinney. Not all McKinney, largely McKinney. Let's say that. They signed him in the offseason. They're giving him the keys to this defense. He's really been in sync with the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley. He's a young player, but he has NFL experience, and the safety position has only gotten more important in the NFL. The Packers have had a lot go right with their NFL choices, but they haven't had too many playmakers on the back end in recent seasons. McKinney's very capable of doing that and aligning the entire defense. So we're sitting here in July. We shall see. I say Xavier McKinney, X marks the spot, X factor for this season.
He certainly will be a fun player to watch, Tim, and just wanted to kind of get your insight on this. Looking at the position battles that a lot of people will be looking at, which one sticks out to you the most during camp?
I'm going to go with kicker. Last year, of course, kicker was an intriguing position with Anders Carlson, and Carlson is back this season again. He missed that kick in the playoffs last year, and that was a tough one to swallow going through the offseason after that miss at San Francisco. It's going to be interesting to watch Carlson because there are two other kickers in camp. Most teams don't have three kickers on their roster this time of year. But what can he really prove in training camp? Anders Carlson has plenty of leg. It's really going to be how he gets to kick in the actual games, maybe the preseason games, but it's hard for me to believe the Packers are going to go forward with anybody other than Carlson because he has all the measurables. He has a year of experience, and he has that powerful leg. It's going to be, can he mentally grind through this preseason with competition and then produce once the games start to matter. They want him to be their kicker. They drafted him last year. They see a real upside for him. It's up to Anders Carlson.
And it all starts at 10:30 tomorrow morning.
For us to give up that 2-out, 2-strike homer to Santana, and then keep Junis in, and Junis to do the job the next inning is just, yeah, it shows the relentlessness of the club, you know. It's a relentless win.
What a start to this quote-unquote second half of the season for the Brewers. Extra innings on Saturday to beat the Twins. They sweep them on Sunday. And Lily, you look at that team. They go into the ninth inning looking good. Jacob Junis in to possibly get a second save. All of a sudden, he gives up a home run, but this team doesn't give up, and then they have a huge inning late.
And that's what makes this Brewers team so fun, right? Pat Murphy has always said this is a team that is never down. They're never down. They're never out until the very, very last strike that ends the game. And that's exactly what the Brewers proved in terms of this win on Saturday that went 12 innings, right? Because you mentioned it, Carlos Santana, two-run homer tying the game, and now we're going into extras. It's going to 11th and now the 12th inning, and that's when they put up 5 runs. The Brewers were relentless. They do it in small ball. They do it by pressuring the pitcher on the bases, and that's what makes this team fun to watch, is that they never give up. And it was a wild ride against the Twins all weekend because it was a back and forth affair on both days. I mean, this is a Twins team that certainly also put pressure on the Brewers pitching staff, but the offense for Milwaukee, especially there on Saturday, able to win. And that's good news, though, because the Cardinals still very hot on Milwaukee's trail in the NL Central. Yeah,
they're only 5 back. And Tim, what are your concerns maybe with this bullpen? We knew going into the All-Star break they had been working a lot. They had kind of a rough stretch in June and July, and here they come after 5 days off, and they don't do very well on Saturday. They don't do very well on Sunday. What are your thoughts right now with where this bullpen stands with just over 63 games to go?
When can Devin Williams join the Heat, right? Absolutely. Is DL Hall finally going to be able to get healthy enough to come in and add an extra arm there? They make a trade for a player from the Mets. The Brewers are trying to, I think, stockpile arms so that they have options to plug in here. They're a bullpen-based team. They've been for several years. They need that back end to be reliable, particularly with this starting rotation. And I agree with you, Brandon. It's eyebrow-raising. You get these 2 wins in Minnesota. That's particularly encouraging because you have not been able to rely on the actual formula formula that carried us through so much success in the first half of the season.
Well, when you look at these wins, too, on the real positive side, Jackson Churio has come out of this break on fire, and he went into the break on fire, Lily.
He did, and this is a kid that no break really is going to slow him down, right? He had a 3-hit game, his first for the Brewers in that Game 1 win against the Twins. He follows it up today with 3 RBI as well. One's that solo homer that ties the game at 5, and Jackson Churio has just been a revelation on offense for this Brewers team, but he is also doing it defensively in the outfield, making some great catches. He made one on Saturday that ended the game. So Jackson Churio just really doing so well for the Brewers. And he's been, that rookie, he's kind of getting things under him, and it's been fun to watch just his progression throughout the year. He had a slower start and then kind of is finding his feet right now, especially at the plate.
And Tim, when you see what he's doing, who are you looking for to step up as we do now kind of get that playoff push going? Because now there's only 2 months basically left in the season, and this team still has a lead, but 5 games isn't a lot with 63 left to play.
And it has to be somebody other than the guys that carried in the first half of the season. Today, I believe Bryce Terang and William Contreras, top of the order, were 0 for 9. And the rest of the order then on down comes through. So I'm not saying Eric Haas is a guy you're going to depend on, but you're going to need to get contributions from other people. Christian Yelich's not in there today. So you're going to need to get people that did not necessarily do it in the first half. Could that be Garrett Mitchell? Could that be Rhys Hoskins, who really didn't heat up through the first half? You're going to need top-to-bottom coverage, particularly as we talk about some pockmarks or areas of concern on that pitching staff.
And Lily, when you talk about Christian Yelich, who was out, he played in the All-Star game. William Contreras struggled today. He played in the All-Star game. Neither of them shined, but they were there. What did that mean to them? And how important is it for them to get a little break here and there because the other guys had 5 days off?
Right. I think that was important. I mean, I think Yelich is still kind of nursing a sore back, so he was not in the lineup today. Then, yeah, they were 0 for 4 combined in the All-Star game, but that's no matter, right? I mean, the fact that they still made it is a big indication of their accomplishments this season and what they've been able to do for the Milwaukee Brewers and just how proud they were to represent this Brewers team at the All-Star game. And it was fun to watch them be on that set or on that stage there. You see Corbin Burns and William Contreras kind of bumping each other as they go to first base there. So it was a fun game just to watch them. But again, they do need some days off, and that's why we saw Eric Haas there as well, catching today with Contreras DHing. So we'll see how it all plays out for these guys, but get them some rest because there's still a long ways to go until the end of the year.
And Eric Haas, who you mentioned, has made a very big impact. 2 home runs today. It's be interesting to see what happens when Gary Sanchez is healthy enough to get back with this club. Well, the Major League Baseball draft concluded this week. A pair of local players heard their names called. Whitefish Bay's J.D. Dix, selected in the first round by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Then in the 4th round, Wisconsin Lutheran High School's Eddie Reinders was selected by the Pirates. And both players are middle infielders and off to a really big start with those early round picks. Well, Hartford's Quinn Meinerz is getting a new contract extension from the Denver Broncos, the UW Whitewater product, in line for $24 million guaranteed and $80 million over 4 years. That makes him one of the league's highest paid offensive guards. Say what's next. Stay with us.
Do I vote? I don't even know if I vote for her.
You really want to ask that question out of the gate?
I just like getting people's attention with something.
My significant other thinks it's sexy, so.
Wow. That was interesting. Was that Taylor Swift?
You know, I've been here 54 years I've been doing this. Just the fact that, you know, I've been able to do it. That's the one thing. I haven't done anything where I've overstepped my boundaries by any means.
Why keep doing it?
Tom, I don't have anything else to do, for one thing. That's the other thing. My stimulus check stopped.
Welcome back to the FOX6 Sports. Well, you have to love Bob Uecker, and Tom Rinaldi did such a wonderful piece on Bob Uecker ahead of the MLB All-Star Game, just kind of documenting his decades of work in the Brewers broadcast booth. So it was great to see their interaction and watch that piece as well. So, you know, he was an icon for the Brewers, and now let's switch gears to the Bucks now. Summer League play is done, Brandon and Tim out there for us in Green Bay. And, you know, Bucks go winless, but the good thing is that doesn't really count towards the regular season, right? It's just more about development and getting these young guys kind of a taste taste of what to maybe expect.
Yeah, it's more of just an evaluation, just to see how these guys react on the floor, what they can do, what they can't do, and also how they work with others. Wins are great in Summer League, but they mean absolutely nothing. It is all about getting the minutes on the floor. It's getting time together and the opportunity to see how they work with one another. And you did see both the draft picks, Tyler Smith and A.J. Johnson, get quality minutes and have some ups and downs on there. And I think that's what you expect when you have Summer League action against other guys also trying to fight for possible roster spots on another team. And this is also a chance for these guys, not necessarily the draft picks, but the other guys on this Summer League roster to impress other NBA teams and maybe get a look when there's an opening early in the season.
Right, and Marjon Beauchamp also played as well, so we'll see kind of where his status is with the Bucks moving forward into the season. But Tim, the Bucks, you failed that final roster spot. They do sign Gary Trent Jr., the 25-year-old guard, to a veteran minimum contract. So when you're looking at what Gary Trent Jr. can bring to this team, yeah, you played with Damian Lillard, but could he potentially be that answer, so to speak, in that starting five for this Bucks team moving forward?
I think he's the starting shooting guard. You'd expect that going into the season. Probably an upgrade over Malik Beasley, a guy who's playing on a one-year minimum contract, as you said, so he's going to be highly motivated. I think John Horst, the Bucks general manager, did a lot with very limited roster flexibility in this offseason, probably upgrading at those three spots at the end of the roster. The thing that's still true, though, in Milwaukee is going to be, how do your main guys do? How healthy is Giannis? How healthy is Chris Middleton? How healthy is Damian Lillard? These guys are nice additions, but those guys will determine the fate of the season.
Especially with an older team, that health is going to be very, very important. All right, well, meanwhile, Milwaukee's Arike Ogunbowale showed out in the WNBA All-Star Game last night. Her team, WNBA, beat Team USA, and she played a big part by scoring the most points in WNBA All-Star Game history with 34, all in the second half. Ogunbowale also earned her second All-Star Game MVP award. She's been fantastic in this setting. So fun to watch. We will be right back. Welcome back. He's always enjoyed tinkering with Legos and designing robotics, and now a passion instilled by his grandfather has him continuing a legacy of preservation. Here's this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
My name is Noah Roberts. I'm a sophomore at Dodgeland High School, and I'm on the robotics team. This past year, we had a team of 3. So we design the robot, we build the robot, test it, program it. We go to competitions. This past year, we only had 1 competition. The year before that, we made it to state. I knew I wanted to do robotics just because I've loved building things for a very long time. I mainly like building vehicles with Lego. I still enjoy doing all that mechanical stuff. I've just moved up a lot in size to tractors. My grandpa lived on a farm and he loved working on tractors. He got me interested in restoring the tractors until he passed away in 2016. But then I continued his legacy and kept restoring tractors. On the farm, my grandpa used to have a Farmall M. That was his favorite tractor on the farm, so I knew I wanted to restore a Farmall M. The average person would walk in that barn where I got it and just say it was a piece of junk. The tires were very dry rotted, the front grille was beaten up a little bit, and the hood was in not very good condition. The tractor was no longer red, it was brown. We tore it down to the bare bones, so it was just the frame, transmission, and the engine. My mom found the Chevron Tractor Restoration Competition, and I became a finalist and was the youngest finalist they've ever had in that competition. I was not in the top 3, but I did get this belt buckle. At first, when I knew I wanted to restore a tractor, well, I thought I'd only restore 1 and then be done. With how much I enjoyed it, I knew I wanted to keep on restoring tractors. My name is Noah Roberts. I'm a sophomore at Dodgeland High School, and I restored a 1950 Farmall M tractor. And I'm this week's Fox 6 High School Hotshot.
All right, Tim, back in Green Bay. Tomorrow it all starts. Lily's concerned about your sunscreen. Make sure to put it on. But one question for you is, who are you looking for riding the bikes tomorrow? You mentioned Jordan Love earlier and how people weren't sure last year. Who are you going to be watching riding the bike to practice?
I'm going to go Dontavian Wicks, one of those guys who just gets along with fans and interacts with people. So he's a guy I will be enjoying watching. Taking the ride right behind me here on down to the practice field tomorrow.
All right, the tradition continues at 10:30 tomorrow. Thanks for watching us. We'll see you next week.